Now, from the station taking action for you, Action News 5 Midday starts now.
Now on Action News 5 Midday, a tragic weekend for two separate families after their loved ones were recovered from two different bodies of water in Shelby County. The reminder is this midday from law enforcement as pools are set to open this week around the Mid-South. Plus, safety is the focus for today's Shelby County Commission meeting. A look at the busy agenda today regarding 201 Poplar and public safety.
There's two older ladies just like kind of rolling around a little bit, and they had like really bad burns all up on their legs.
And a protest turns into a terrorist attack as a man allegedly throws Molotov cocktails into a pro-Israel crowd. Hear how one witness described those terrifying moments. We'll get to those stories in a moment, but first, a breaking news alert. A judge partially dismisses the motion in the case of an inmate death at 201 Poplar. Now, this is regarding the death of Jershawn Freeman, who died at the jail in 2022. The motion for the dismissal was partly approved, with the judge citing that Freeman did in fact receive proper medical care while sustaining the claim that excessive force was used. The claim that Freeman's death was a violation of his disability rights also still stands. An autopsy conducted on Freeman showed that he suffered cardiac arrest while he was restrained, and his death was ruled a homicide. 9 jailers were charged with aggravated assault resulting in a death. 2 other Shelby County Corrections deputies were also charged with second-degree murder. Now, we've reached out to Freeman's family for a comment on this latest development, and we have not heard back. In more breaking news this midday, we now know when the former officers federally convicted in the death of Tyree Nichols are set to be sentenced. The former MPD officers will be sentenced only a couple days apart. Now, here's a breakdown of those sentencing dates. According to court records, Justin Smith and Tadarius Bean are set to be sentenced on June 16th. Demetrius Haley and Desmond Mills will be sentenced the following day, and Emmett Martin will be sentenced on June 18th. Bean and Smith were both found guilty of obstruction of evidence, and Haley was found guilty on 4 counts for both conspiracy and obstruction of evidence, while Martin and Mills both took plea deals. And this comes after those officers were acquitted on state charges last month. Meanwhile, the family of Tyree Nichols is celebrating his birthday this week with a community rally. It's set for this Thursday at 5 p.m. at the I Am a Man Plaza. Tyree Nichols would have been 32 years old. The attorney for the Nichols family says that this rally is a call to action for people to keep fighting for justice. It's been a tragic 72 hours after 2 drownings this weekend. Just yesterday, first responders pulled the body of Thaddeus Smiley out of the Wolf River, and a 7-year-old missing boy was found in Arlington at a pool later died. Good morning, and thank you for joining me for Action News 5 Midday. I'm Noah Sershin in for Jerry and Ariana. As our Stephanie Douglas reports, one law enforcement expert has an important message for everyone heading out to bodies of water this summer.
It was just before 3 p.m. Sunday, the search for Thaddeus Smiley came to a tragic end in efforts when the 31-year-old's body was pulled from the Wolf River a half a mile down from where he entered. Over 100 volunteers as well as search and rescue employees from the Shelby County Sheriff's Office assisted in the search since Smiley went missing Friday. Smiley jumped into the Wolf River along with another man who tried to save a 10-year-old child from drowning. The other man and child were able to escape. However, Smiley was swept away. The second drowning death was a 7-year-old from Arlington who died after Shelby County Sheriff deputies found him in a nearby pool. The child was taken to Labana Children's Hospital, where he later died on Saturday. In response to the 2 tragic drownings over the weekend, the Shelby County Sheriff's Office says it's important to be extremely cautious and exercise water safety measures as the weather gets warmer.
So my message to the public is this: if you've been questioning, should you sign up or should you take swim lessons? This is for children, but then also it's for adults. Today is your answer. Today is your answer.
This drowning death marks the second child to die this year in Memphis from wandering off and drowning. Back in April, 5-year-old Caden Nolan died after wandering away from his family's apartment in Parkway Village. His body was found in the apartment complex's pool. It's a reminder to be safe and secure as Memphis City public pools open tomorrow. Reporting, I'm Stephanie Douglas, Action News 5.
Certainly some tragic endings there, Sydney. Thanks. And the Shelby County Sheriff's Office is now investigating why the child left the home to begin with and how we got access to the pool. Drowning is one of the leading causes of death for young kids. The Department of Homeland Security listed Shelby County as jurisdiction with not complying with federal immigration laws, but as of this morning, that list of sanctuary cities is no longer available on the department's security website. The department did receive some criticism for including local counties and cities on that list that supported President Trump's immigration policies. Now, you might remember that Shelby County and Davidson County and Nashville were on that list. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem hasn't said why the list was removed. The NAACP is taking aim at MLGW and Shelby County Health Department to stop operations at XAI's data center. According to a letter, the NAACP asked the health department and both MLGW Board of Commissioners to shut down Elon Musk's XAI data center in South Memphis. They cited illegal operations and health risk. In that letter dated for last Thursday, NAACP accuses officials of ignoring public concerns and allowing XAI to operate without transparency or accountability. The site is near Boxtown, a historic black neighborhood where cancer risks are almost 4 times higher than the national average. Ahead today, commissioners will vote on several resolutions involving one popular. They're giving nearly $1.5 million for emergency repairs. This includes fixing air conditioning units, plumbing issues, and power systems in an already crowded and aging jail. There's also a resolution to designate Shelby County as a priority community. This will give federal government the opportunity to invest in the county. And this comes after FBI Director Kash Patel listed Memphis as the crime capital of America. He plans to launch more federal agents in the city this year. All right, now let's take a break from the news really quick and get a check of the first alert forecast. And Patrick, it's looking pretty hazy outside right now.
Yeah, it depends on which way you look. If you're looking back towards the east, the haze is there, but still a lot of blue sky outside from our high five camera coming from the Clark Tower looking out east. It's up to 83 already here in the city of Memphis, 84 Tunica, 79 in Wynn, currently 82 Covington, Somerville, as well as Ashland and Bolivar, and we'll continue the upward trend towards the upper 80s this afternoon. Again, starting to see a couple of puffy cumulus clouds developing with the south breeze flowing in around 10 miles per hour, 5 to 10 miles per hour here as we go through the course of the day. Do want to let you know that while we have been dry, we will likely stay dry the next couple of days, but there will be some chances for rain to start sneaking back in here by the time we head towards your Wednesday. And guess what? The wetter weather does come back at some point in time. We'll talk more about it in your full first alert forecast coming up here in a couple of minutes.
All right, Patrick, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks. New at midday, the trial for this man right here who's accused of shooting and killing his girlfriend and throwing their baby into the Mississippi River. Well, his trial has been delayed yet again. Brandon Isabel is charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. Police say that 3 years ago, he shot and killed his girlfriend, Danielle Hoyle. He then threw their 2-day-old daughter into the Mississippi River. That baby's body was never recovered, and police say Isabel admitted to the crime but has since pleaded not guilty. The trial was supposed to begin today, but was pushed back until September. It was a rough morning commute for drivers because of a multi-vehicle crash on the interstate. According to TDOT, the crash happened just after 8 this morning on the eastbound lanes of I-40 between the flyover and Sycamore View. 5 of the left lanes were blocked because of the crash, and the wreck was cleared up around 10:30, but the interstate was backed up all the way to White Station over the flyover. No word on how the drivers in that crash are doing. 2 women and 1 man are recovering after a fight. It happened last night on Hastings Circle West off of Jackson Avenue. Investigators later learned that the 3 people shot were traveling in a car when they saw that fight break out at the intersection. The gunfire hit their vehicle. One of the women injured said she heard around 12 gunshots. The victims were taken to Regional 1 in critical but stable condition. 8 people were arrested in a Collierville neighborhood Saturday night after police responded to a large gathering near Mayfield Road. Officers arrived around 10 p.m. to find blocked roads, the smell of drugs, and vehicles parked in yards. Police arrested 8 people from Memphis on charges including drug possession, firearm violations, public intoxication, and resisting arrest. They seized marijuana, oxycodone, Xanax, Adderall, and a handgun. Code enforcement is now investigating the homeowner for town ordinance violations. No injuries were reported. Caught on camera, Memphis police needs their help identifying 2 men stealing parts of a home, but their getaway vehicle a bike. Yeah, you heard that right. They stole from a home on Willett Street. The victim's house was undergoing renovations when the two men stole from the other homeowner over the span of 2 days. The suspects took a vanity with a faucet and countertop. No arrests have been made. If you know any of these men, call Crime Stoppers at 901-528-CASH. Developing now at midday, at least 8 people were injured in what officials are calling an anti-Semitic attack in Colorado Sunday. Colorado Governor Jared Polis condemned the attack and called it a, quote, heinous act of terror. Reed Binion reports.
You know, this has really inflicted a lot of fear in the Jewish community at large, the pro-Israel community.
Colorado Governor Jared Polis reacting to the terrifying scene after a man in Boulder, Colorado, set multiple people on fire at a Jewish community event. It was a weekly gathering to support Israeli hostages in Gaza.
Witnesses are reporting that the subject used a makeshift flamethrower and threw an incendiary device into the crowd.
According to the FBI, the man yelled "Free Palestine" during the attack.
It is clear that this is a targeted act of violence, and the FBI is investigating this as an act of terrorism. The subject has been identified as Mohammed Sabri Solomon, and he's 45 years old.
Witnesses described a chaotic scene as bystanders rushed in with water to help the victims and extinguish the flames.
It was 2 older ladies, just like kind of rolling around a little bit, and they had like really bad burns all up on their legs.
There was one woman, who was an elderly woman, who had her hair charred.
The man believed to be the suspect was still on the scene when police arrived.
A suspect was pointed out to our officers on the scene. Our officers immediately encountered that suspect, who was taken into custody without incident. The suspect was injured. The suspect was taken to the hospital.
I'm Reed Binion reporting.
The Boulder County District Attorney says the attacker will be charged in the coming days. A source said federal charges are also expected. It's unclear if the suspect has an attorney at the time, but investigators do not believe there are any additional suspects at large. Next on Midday, it's been a week since the unofficial start to summer travel season, which means we're right into the thick of it. But if your travels take you west, expect some delays. I'll tell you one bridge closure that you need to know about. Plus, you may be experiencing sticker shock as President Trump's tariffs loom. Just ahead, the new tariffs Trump wants to place on goods and how it can impact your budget even more. And there's help for Mississippians from recent summer storms. What you need to do to apply for that aid next.
Now, from the station taking action for you. You're watching Action News 5 Midday.
Happening now, the Arkansas Department of Transportation begin closing lanes of the I-40 bridge over the Mississippi River for inspections. Right now, you're taking a live look at the bridge, and it comes a week after viewers sent us pictures of a massive pothole on the bridge. RDOT telling us that the work to repair the pothole is complete and that these are regularly scheduled inspections.
The inspection that's happening next week has nothing to do with the potholes. We're not inspecting it because of the potholes. It's just a routine inspection that we do annually.
Lanes going to Tennessee will close from 9 in the morning until 6 p.m. Westbound lanes will close from 6:30 in the morning until 4:30 in the afternoon. The closures will end around June 26th. Economists say Americans will soon feel the impact of President Trump's tariffs in big ways. However, the White House says that tariffs are here to stay. NBC's senior business correspondent Christine Roman shows us how these tariffs will impact our wallets and the new plans President Trump has to double down on additional tariffs.
This morning, the future of President Donald Trump's major tariffs in question. After back and forth in the courts, with the tariffs in place for now, but the legal battle continuing. The president doubling down, posting yesterday, if the courts somehow rule against us on tariffs, which is not expected, that would allow other countries to hold our nation hostage. This would mean the economic ruination of the United States of America. The White House vowing tariffs will continue no matter what.
Tariffs are not going away. He has so many other authorities that even in the weird and unusual circumstance where this was taken away, we just bring on another or another or another.
And another front of the trade war may be heating back up after consumers saw rising prices from clothes to electronics to home goods during the escalating tariffs between China and the U.S. Both sides temporarily reduced taxes and tensions last month while negotiations went on. But overnight, China weighing in, saying the U.S. has taken actions that, quote, seriously violate the talks. Just days after Mr. Trump claimed China had totally violated its agreement with the United States. It comes as President Trump plans to raise more tariffs this week on steel imports.
We're going to bring it from 25% to 50%, which will even further secure the steel industry in the United States.
U.S. manufacturers currently import about a quarter of their steel from overseas. With this new tariff increase, they would pay more for production costs to build cars, home appliances, furniture, and tools. Economists say the higher tariff could also drive up the cost of canned goods, making groceries more expensive. Before he took office, Mr. Trump promised to bring down grocery prices.
People can't afford their groceries, and they're going to be affording their groceries very soon.
That was NBC's senior business correspondent Christine Roman reporting. Now, beyond canned goods like chicken, noodle soup, and tuna, economists report that these middle tariffs can run up food prices as companies pay more for their trucks and tractors, all a part of that effect passed on to consumers. Most Americans want the government to get more done, but fewer trust either party to do it. That's according to a new CNN poll conducted by SSRS. 58% of people surveyed the government said that they should do more to solve the country's problems. That's a record high in more than 30 years of CNN's polling. More than 4 in 10 people say that neither party can get things done or has strong leadership. When it comes to which party best reflects their views on the role of the federal government, it's an even split among Americans. 1/3 of respondents say that neither party does, and the poll found that about half of Americans now believe democracy in the U.S. is under attack. The new CNN poll included more than 2,500 adults nationwide from May 5th through the 26th. The Mississippi Emergency Management Agency will open 10 disaster recovery centers to serve residents in 11 counties who suffered damage during the March storms. The president's approval of a major disaster declaration for the Magnolia State provides funding for counties in central, southern, and northeastern Mississippi, and including Grenada County. Assistance can include grants for temporary housing and home repairs, low-cost loans to cover uninsured property losses, and other programs to help individuals and business owners recover from the storms. The center in Grenada County opens in just about 1 hour at Emmanuel Baptist Church on 4661 Commerce Street. It's open Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. after its noon opening today.
We've got some good weather. It's going to be a little toasty, though, across the Mid-South as we take a live look outside. Take you to Oxford, of course. Again, we got the Ole Miss Rebels going for their final game. Hopefully not their final game of the entire series, but final game at least with this round. Later on this evening, of course, are Griffin Demaray and Matt Enfield going to be down there 5 o'clock this evening for that game. Mostly sunny skies right now in Oxford. You're at 81 degrees, 83 officially at Memphis International, 84 in Covington, 82 in Blytheville. Add in a little bit of humidity, feels like it's in the middle 80s in most spots. Tunica is the warm spot, feeling like 89 degrees. Feels like 86 in Clarksdale, feels like 86 also in Alamo. It feels like 85 in Bolivar. Continue the actual air temperatures into the middle to upper 80s today. A fair amount of sunshine, but still getting some puffy cumulus clouds to billow up here today, and a little bit of haze, and that haze coming from the wildfires in Canada. Again, feels like temperatures this afternoon right around the 90-degree mark. We're still easing our way up, and yes, there is a little bit of an issue with air quality. I think tomorrow may be a little bit worse off than what we're dealing with here today. Minor discomfort for those sensitive groups that typically would have some issues. Again, if you've got a little bit of sinus issues, it wouldn't be surprising here today. As I mentioned, it's going to be quite warm the next few days. High temperatures will top out in the middle and upper 80s, maybe approaching 90 in a few instances. But notice, again, when it comes down to the feels like temperatures, getting up in the mid-90s occasionally, especially as the humidity levels start to spike as we head towards the end of the week. And as the humidity levels spike, we'll also see a spike in rain chances as well. Highest rain chance in the next couple of days will be probably Thursday. We'll get a little bit of a reprieve on Friday and then more scattered activity as we head towards Saturday and Sunday. So if you have plans out and about this weekend, which again, there are a lot of things that will be going on this weekend, just be prepared that rain could be impacting it, at least at points in time. I don't think it's a constant rain, as we've mentioned, but there will be at least some opportunities for rain each and every time. A little ripple of low pressure, one exiting through the end of the weekend, another one approaches us for the end of the weekend and into early next week. So there'll be several waves of rain to contend with as we head through the coming days, and we'll just have to watch when exactly they start rolling across the area, because that will have ultimately impact on those events that will be going on across the Mid-South. Hazy sunshine today and tomorrow. I think a little bit more haze tomorrow comparatively to today. Temperatures will still top out middle to upper 80s. Upper 80s again as we head towards your Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Keep in mind there will be a little better chance for some rain and storms coming back here on Thursday. A little bit drier for a moment in time on Friday, but I think we get another round of storms to contend with Friday night, continuing Saturday and Sunday. We'll expand this out to the next 10 days in our next half hour.
Patrick, thanks. Still ahead on Action News 5 Midday. It's almost tick season, and doctors are warning of a tick-borne illness on the rise. How you can protect yourself next. Welcome back. Tick-borne disease cases are on the rise in the U.S. The number of these illnesses reported each year has quadrupled over the past few decades, according to CDC data, and experts believe many more cases are not being reported. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither has more on why we may be seeing more tick-borne illnesses and explains how to protect yourself against ticks.
They're a growing threat. Tick-borne illnesses are on the rise in the U.S., and ticks are out now through early fall.
It does seem like it'll be sort of a hot year for ticks.
Experts believe the increase in tick-borne diseases is due to several factors, including climate change. The rising heat and humidity helps ticks thrive, growing tick populations, and improved disease tracking. While there are several illnesses that ticks can cause, Lyme disease is by far the most common. More than 89,000 cases of Lyme disease were reported to the CDC by state health departments and the District of Columbia in 2023, but the agency says many more aren't reported. If left untreated, Lyme disease can cause serious health problems.
Early symptoms of Lyme disease, unfortunately, going to look a lot like the flu. So there'll be things like fever, fatigue, headaches, and muscle aches.
There may also be a rash that looks like a bullseye. Experts say to protect against ticks by minimizing any exposed skin where they can bite. In areas where they're common, wear long sleeves and long pants, with the pants tucked into your socks, and wear a hat. Also, thoroughly check yourself and your family after spending time in high-risk areas like woods or tall grass. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Currently, there are no vaccines for any of the diseases that are carried by ticks, but experts say several vaccines are in clinical trials as we speak. The West Nile virus has made its appearance in the volunteer state. The Metro Nashville Health Department says that the trap was set off outside of Nashville, Madison. There have been no cases of the virus reported this year. There have also been no human cases. Health experts say the best way to avoid getting bitten is to spend time outdoors, using a mosquito repellent approved by the CDC, wearing shoes, pants, and long sleeves, and having screens for windows and doors. Mosquitoes also look for any standing water to breed their eggs, so this could be places like bird baths, trees, tires, or playhouses. All right, the time now 11:23 on this Monday morning, June the 2nd. About 73 degrees outside. Right now you're taking a live look at our High 5 camera, as we could be seeing some midweek showers later in the week. First Alert meteorologist Patrick Ellis is in after the break with another check of the First Alert forecast. Stay with us.
We're still working through some beautiful days here across the Mid-South, and finally some time to actually dry out here across the region. Blue skies from Senatobia, one of the spots that got hit pretty hard back in April. Here's a look at Northwest Mississippi Community College. Of course, temperatures are in the 80s right now and quite toasty. It will be all day long, my friends. Temperatures are warming up into the upper 80s, close to 90 in a few spots. Can't rule it out completely. South breezes flowing at around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Not much going on right now and not expecting to see very much in the way of rainfall today or tomorrow, but there could be a few spotty downpours as we head towards your Wednesday afternoon. And you notice to the north and west of us, up towards St. Louis, back through central Missouri, that's our next stalled frontal boundary that will act as a conduit for, yes, more scattered activity of showers and thunderstorms as we head through the end of this week and into the upcoming weekend. Details on what to expect with it and your full first alert forecast coming up.
This broadcast is sponsored by Groundworks, the nation's leading foundation solutions company. Now, from the station taking action for you. You're watching Action News 5 Midday.
This November marks 5 years since Memphis rapper Young Dolph was gunned down in Memphis. Today, a man charged in the death of Young Dolph was back in court. Cornelius Smith is facing charges of first-degree murder. Prosecutors believe that Smith is one of the 2 men that shot and killed Young Dolph outside of Mikitas Cookies. Smith is being held in jail without bail. Take a look at this fiery video sent in to us by one of our Action News 5 viewers over the weekend. This video right here shows a mother and her 2 sons that were killed in a fiery multi-car crash. It happened Saturday on I-40 and caused the interstate to be shut down for hours. Memphis police say that there were 5 vehicles involved in that crash. Multiple sources identified the victim as Tanya Kennedy and her 2 sons. She worked for youth villages, for more than 20 years. One witness we spoke with was she could have done more to save others.
It hurts that we couldn't do more to get the other passengers out. It just, it's all right.
And the cause of this crash is still under investigation. We're learning new information this midday in a Frazier shooting. New details on the shooting on Saturday reveals that the man shot was protecting his children. The shooting happened on Donna Drive, and a man told an officer that he and his brother and several children were outside of a home when 2 children, who were about 13 and 14, started shooting at them. The man said his brother ran to grab one of the children, and he was shot in the back of the neck. The brother had serious injuries. He returned fire and shot at the back of one of the teens. Officers gave the brother a city ordinance for discharging the firearm within city limits. Congress returns to Capitol Hill today after the Memorial Day holiday. Ryan Henson breaks down what's on the agenda and more in this week's look ahead at what's in Washington.
After spending last week on recess for the Memorial Day holiday, Congress returns to the nation's capital with all eyes on the U.S. Senate and President Donald Trump's agenda. The upper chamber now takes on Trump's budget proposal, or as he calls it, one big, beautiful bill. The plan calls for tax cuts as well as more money for the military and border security. It also includes potential cuts to Medicaid and food assistance programs. The House narrowly passed the plan on May 22nd with only Republican support. However, some GOP senators are already criticizing the bill for its potential impact on the national debt. Also this week, World Pride continues in the nation's capital with DC's annual Pride March and Parade happening on Saturday. Also this week, several people are being honored with the Robert F. Kennedy Human Rights Award, including Maine Governor Janet Mills. And that's your week ahead in Washington. I'm Ryan Henson.
Well, June is Alzheimer's Awareness Month, and more than 6 million Americans are living with that disease, and that number is expected to double within the next 25 years. Alzheimer's affects memory, communication, and independence. The TBI is highlighting the Awareness Month as they support seniors and loved ones. They say that since they've implemented their Silver Alert program in 2021, they've issued more than 400 alerts. The organization said if your loved one has dementia or Alzheimer's, it's important to fill out a Silver Alert kit. All you have to do is enter your loved one's information so that the TBI can find them as fast as possible if they go missing. Well, heads up if you're going to International Airport. Actually, I'm kind of jealous of you. You might need a little extra time. Construction is now affecting access to the crosswalk and departure drop-off areas. The arrival and baggage claim areas won't be affected, but if you're walking from the departure or ticketing area, you've got to use the crosswalks at Terminal A or C. And it's all a part of a $700 million improvement project. They expect to have it wrapped up by the 4th of July. Germantown Square is heading to the auction block. The town of Cordova made the announcement on their social media page over the weekend. The property holds businesses like Incredible Pizza, the University of Memphis Kimmons Wilson Culinary Institute, and the Tile Shop. This auction isn't for individual businesses, but the property itself. In the meantime, all of the tenants are still open and operating as usual. A new owner may choose to keep the current businesses in place or renovate the site, or might go in a different direction. But as of now, there are no announcements or closures or any changes to report. Well, all you coffee lovers out there rejoice. 7 Brew is coming to Wolf Chase. It'll be located right outside of the Wolf Chase Mall. According to a recent building permit, it will be placed in the same site where the new Raising Cane's is being built. It will be operated by Tim Heron, who also operates multiple Freddy's Custard and Steak Burgers locations in Memphis and Nashville. No official date has been released for its opening. Outside of the coffee, the chain has a variety of smoothies and teas and energy drinks. The chain was originally founded in Rogers, Arkansas in 2017. The brand has over 300 locations and multiple here in the Memphis area. And Raising Cane's is set to open in just a few weeks. This will be on Goodman Road near I-55. They'll have multiple giveaways before their opening at 10 a.m. The franchise is looking to open even more locations in the Mid-South. There are over 600 locations across the nation and only 2 in Tennessee. The closest one is in Oxford on the campus of Ole Miss. And for a look at those giveaways, click on the story on our website, actionnews5.com. Well, if you've noticed a haze in the air, you're not alone. Smoke from the Canadian wildfire is being seen all across the country, and this comes as some parts of the nation has a threat for severe weather. NBC's Aaron Gilchrist reports.
This morning, some of the nation's midsection tinted with a milky haze as wildfires burn out of control in Canada, smoke being blown across the border for days.
It's sure smoky in Minnesota today.
Those aren't clouds, that's Canadian smoke.
That smoke rising from wildfires burning more than 1 million acres across several Canadian provinces, some for weeks now.
Embers flying.
With little to no containment on dozens of blazes, Canada has ordered evacuations. And as satellite images show smoke stretching far into the U.S., states like North Dakota, Michigan, and Illinois telling residents to pay attention to air quality. Minnesota issuing a red air quality alert through this evening.
That smoke is just basically sitting right at the lowest part of the atmosphere where we live, and so degrading air quality pretty significantly.
The haze a clear concern for officials ahead of summer's dangerous fire season.
Is this something that you all anticipate could be a longer term issue?
We're basically the earliest we've ever seen it starting up this year.
After wild weather whipped through the East Coast,
please don't come this way.
Even forming this water spout over the Potomac River in Maryland. Parts of the plains on alert today for a severe weather threat with damaging wind, large hail, and even tornadoes possible. Now back here in the Midwest, that lower air quality and the haze in the sky expected to stick around through today into tomorrow. And that's as people here really wait for either a change in the wind direction or for those fires in Canada to get under control.
All is quiet for today, all is quiet for tomorrow, but a stalling frontal boundary by midweek will eventually lead up to some spotty opportunities of a downpour by Wednesday. More chances by the end of the week and into the weekend. Those details coming up in our next half hour.
But first, 2 inmate escapes in the southern part of the country. The latest on both investigations as the searches are still ongoing. And measles remaining a threat for Americans, and now the CDC is saying you should be careful if you're traveling. The details on the other side of the break.
Now, from the station taking action for you. You're watching Action News 5 Midday.
2 inmate escapes caught on camera have authorities in 2 different parts of the state searching for the inmates. Now let's go ahead and start with the escape here in Arkansas right here. There is now a $25,000 reward to help find the devil in the Ozarks and the convicted killer and rapist as he escaped from a prison in Jonesboro last week. Grant Hardin is also a former small-town police chief, and he wore a makeshift prison guard uniform to trick an officer to open a gate last week. The prison is about 3 hours northwest of Memphis in Calico Rock. A retired police chief that was once Hardin's boss weighs in.
He's not a good person. He is not a good person, and I was surprised when he escaped. You know, he is the kind of person that will capitalize on anything he can get hold of to further himself.
Leaders say that the search is difficult because of that part of Arkansas, as it's very dense with a lot of caves and other places to hide. Authorities are using bloodhounds and any other tools to catch him. Inmates escaped from a New Orleans jail are back behind bars after they were caught in Texas last week. Leo Tate and Jermaine Donald are being held in what's described as a correctional facility. 10 inmates escaped out of the Orleans jail last month by cutting a hole out of the toilet. 2 of them are still on the run. There is a $50,000 reward if anyone has any information that could lead to their arrest. The U.S. manufacturing industry lost steam last month. That's as companies cut back on imports and continue to struggle with the persistent uncertainty tied to President Donald Trump's sweeping tariff policy changes. The Institute for Supply Management is out with a new survey of manufacturers, and it finds economic activity in America's manufacturing sector fell to a reading of 48.5 in May. That's down from April's 48.7. Now, any reading above 50 indicates expansion, and anything below that reflects contraction. So the industry declined at an even faster pace than last month. Many respondents to the industry's 3rd month decline in a row, that is. Meanwhile, an index measuring imports of manufacturers plunged to its lowest reading in 16 years. For most of the manufacturers in the survey, Trump's aggressive tariff policies are top of mind. For recent college graduates, a dose of bad news. Economists say that this is the worst job market in years for young people. The overall national jobless rate stands at 4.2%. However, Oxford economists say that the unemployment rate for people aged 22 to 27 years old with at least a bachelor's degree is consistently higher than the national rate. The Bureau of Labor Statistics shows the unemployment rate for those aged 20 to 24 is even worse at an 8.2%. That's nearly twice as high as the national average. According to professional networking platform LinkedIn, entry-level hiring is down 23% compared to March 2020. Overall, though, this is a resilient U.S. job market. The economy has added jobs for 52 months in a row. That's the 2nd longest streak of uninterrupted job growth in the U.S. history. A new travel warning by the CDC as measles cases surge across the globe. The agency says that if you're traveling to get vaccinated or consider postponing your trip. NBC's Liz Cruitt has more.
With summer vacations quickly approaching, a serious and concerning new travel warning from the CDC, urging travelers not to fly unless they're vaccinated against the measles.
That's a significant shift that reflects that global cases of measles are rising.
The agency cautioning that travelers can catch measles in hubs like airports and train stations, as well as airplanes and trains or at crowded events. The Denver airport is the latest hotspot for the virus after officials confirmed 3 travelers from the same flight into Denver airport contracted measles, including a child under 5 years old. There have now been over 1,100 cases of measles across 33 states, according to the latest NBC News count. The epicenter of the outbreak remains West Texas, where cases have climbed to over 700 since January.
We will see these cases stop, but unfortunately, there's just going to be so much infection and deaths along the way. And it frustrates me because the vaccine, especially 2 shots, it's about 97% effective.
Even some places with no reported measles cases like San Diego hosting a free vaccination clinic to ensure it stays that way.
Can't prevent it from happening, can't prevent them from getting sick, but the vaccinations help mitigate the overall of the sickness.
Meanwhile, questions remain about the government's latest advice on vaccinations for COVID. Last week, the Health and Human Services Secretary said the CDC would no longer recommend the vaccine for healthy children and pregnant women. But the CDC's updated immunization schedule, published just days later, contradicted his statement, saying healthy kids over 6 months should get it. Experts say young children and pregnant women face high risks from the virus.
And there's no clear recommendation that pregnant women get COVID vaccines. The CDC says kids can get the vaccine if both the doctor and parent agree. Action News 5 is sending out a high five to residents in McNairy County. They held a rodeo to lend a helping hand to those in need from the April tornadoes. The event yesterday was sponsored by First Farm and Lawn along with Rockin' K Rodeo Productions. They had vendors, music, and even food and games. All the proceeds went to the Darrell Worley Foundation and the McNairy County Long-Term Recovery Group.
So let's take a look at what we have going on. Thankfully, we can all sit back today. You know, the First Alert Weather Team, the guys over at the Weather Service, we all sit back today. This is a nice day. It's an easy day with the weather across the Mid-South. Get out and enjoy it if you can. Of course, take heed to the fact that it's pretty toasty outside, or will be toasty outside today. 83 the current number at Memphis, 84 Clarksdale, 85 Tunica, 84 in Alamo. Blyville's at 82. We'll continue the upward swing towards the middle and upper 80s this afternoon. Rain chances standing at a big old goose egg today, so no rain to worry about here. The biggest issue for you today may be this. Again, the issues of smoke coming into the fold. We've been looking at that the last couple of days, and I think it may get a little worse before it gets better as we go into tomorrow. There may be a puff of smoke moving back into the fold as we head into your Tuesday, and that may bring down the air quality a little bit as we head through your day tomorrow. Highs today, though, in the middle and upper 80s across the area, maybe approaching 90 in one or two spots. By tonight, we'll drop off into the 60s. Corinth at 66, same in Selmer and Ripley. 66 in Holly Springs, 68 here in Memphis and West Memphis as well. Now, as far as the feels like temperatures are concerned, yeah, you're going to notice it here today. Again, feeling closer to 90 degrees this afternoon, and in some spots you've already felt closer to that, and I think we'll make a run for the low 90s for the feels like temperatures going into your Tuesday as that mugginess continues to be on the upward swing all the way through the end of this week. Now understand, today, tomorrow, not bad. We get towards Wednesday, we start to nudge it up. That's when we start to see a chance for a few spotty showers and better chances for rain and storms to come back in here as we head towards the end of the week, and that's partially in due to what's going on to the north. A stalling out frontal boundary, actually a front will be approaching us by Wednesday into Thursday, and these little ripples of low pressure riding along that boundary will help to facilitate waves of rain and storms here across the Mid-South. So unfortunately, yeah, we got to talk about the potential for more rain coming back into the fold, but at least it's not tropically induced. Tracking the tropics, nothing going out there in the tropics. Now, we'll say this. Now, as we go into the next couple of weeks, as this front that I was just talking about will eventually make a shift down towards the Gulf and into the Atlantic, we got to watch that maybe in about 2 weeks' time, because typically this time of the year, anything that we see develop in the Atlantic basin is going to be more homegrown in the Gulf, Western Atlantic, into the Caribbean. So those will be something that we'll watch out for. But 7 days out, we're not looking to see anything crazy going on with the tropics, so nothing to worry about there, even though I know that there's been some scary models that have kind of perked some people's interest. As far as the Atlantic basin is concerned in 2025, again, an above normal season expected from the national, from NOAA's forecast, the 30-year average 14.7 and 3. And again, kind of falling in between that here. Now, as far as our forecast the next 10 days, nothing tropical coming our direction. Maybe some tropical levels of humidity. That's about the long and short of it, because you're definitely going to notice that, especially as we head towards the end of the week. That will lead up to those scattered downpours on a daily basis once we get towards the end of the week and into the upcoming weekend.
All right, thanks, Patrick. Zebra alert. Middle Tennessee zebra is still missing, where people have spotted Ed over the weekend. Action News 5 is sending out a high five to a group of firemen. They held an event to support a first responder. The Bells City joined with the Bells Fire Department to host a barbecue benefit. All proceeds of the event went to support Chief Donnie King of the fire department. He's recovering from a heart transplant. Pride Month is here, but many big brands and retail chains are keeping celebrations on the down low this year. It's a change from years past, as a now number of major corporations this year are dialing back marketing merchandise and messaging that celebrates Pride. A new Gravity research survey finds 39% of more than 200 companies say that they are toning down Pride-related campaigns to avoid political headaches. Those fears include Trump administration's threats of investigations and being targeted by angry right-winged customers and activists on social media. Pride supporters warned the pullback could hurt diversity and inclusion in the long run and hurt businesses for those companies. However, some advocates, like the president of the GLAAD, says companies are not walking away from the community. They say they're working more behind the scenes to support and engage LGBT employees. Meanwhile, Memphis is celebrating Pride. It's the 50th anniversary, and all the festivities kick off Thursday with a festival at Robert Church Park and a parade Saturday on Beale. Pride festivities wrap up on Sunday with a Grand Marshal drag brunch and tea at Jerry Lee Lewis Cafe. The Memphis Showboat season is now over, and they may have played their very last game in Memphis. They lost to the Birmingham Stallions at the Liberty Bowl yesterday. Their contract for the stadium expired, so the future in Memphis is currently up in the air. All right, take a look at the screen right here. So a pet zebra is still on the run after making an escape this past weekend. The search has gone viral on social media all over the place after it was seen in some of the most unlikely places. Videos you're looking at full screen right now is from a woman who was driving on Interstate 24 when she noticed the zebra. Officials had to temporarily shut down the interstate. The zebra then made its way into a Murfreesboro neighborhood. It was last seen in a wooded area. Now here's a preview of what you'll see on Investigate TV with Lee Zurich and Tisha Powell.
On the next Investigate TV Plus, America's population is rapidly getting older, and experts say we need to rethink housing for seniors.
It gives you a feeling of different feeling if you are talking or seeing some children rather than some old people.
We examine the shift to intergenerational living and the benefits of the elderly and children coming together under one roof.
Weather is going to be pretty active by the end of the week, but it's still pretty toasty here today and dry today and tomorrow.
All right, thank you, Patrick, and thank you for joining us here on Action News 5 Midday. Join us back here today at 3. Investigate TV is coming up next. Make it a great day.
Stream Action News 5 for free on actionnews5.com, on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and Apple TV. Sponsored by John Michael Bailey, fighting for the injured. Make the call. Let's get it all. 888-WE-FIGHT.